How are we doing, guys? We're back again with the fans post-match reaction. Apologies, this is like a day later than usual. Myself and Jack were a little bit rough yesterday morning, so we won't go much further into that. But Newcastle won, Leeds United won. This is open to channel members. So, guys, if you are watching this and you are a member or you want to become a member, you can join us right now. Our lines are open. It's just in the community page on YouTube. You can get the link straight in. So, Jack, Newcastle won, Leeds won. I think Chris and Tash have touched on it spot on, to be honest with you. It's some good, some bad, just meh, isn't it? It's just like kind of thing, isn't it, the result?
Yeah, it still just doesn't seem to be clicking, does it? I mean, the first half, we probably should have maybe 2-3 goals at very least. They played well the first half, and it were pleasing to think, right, we're getting there's a bit more about them here. But I thought the second half, Newcastle, it just sort of faded again. It's hard. I mean, I were at the game, and if you've ever been Newcastle, if there's anyone who's watching you being, or you were at the game, you'll know yourself, you're literally up in the gods, and the players all look about that. You can't even tell who's who that's playing, But yeah, it was a bit more of a pleasing performance, I think. It was the first half especially. A few of the players actually, shown what they're worth. Rodrigo, he had a great game. He played really, really well. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Cooper did well, because obviously that Maximilian or whatever it is, he's a fantastic player. And you watch him get that ball, and he's going with it, and he's direct, and he gives us a few problems. That kid, he's someone that I'd love to see some kind of player like that for us. Thought Bamford were quiet again, but overall, it's another point. We still haven't got that win. A stat that I've just seen is it's actually the first time under Bielsa that Leeds have gone 5 games without a win, which is actually surprising. I didn't know that, but I've seen that today. It's the first time ever in his tenure, in his 3 years here. So but I think it's massive improvement from the last couple of games. I think attacking wise,
certainly first half, wasn't it? I think the first half. I mean, I don't know if you could see from where you were, the Firpo miss and the Rafinha miss. It's like being back in the Championship, missing those great chances. But I don't know about you. I just felt that every time Newcastle came forward, they looked like they were going to score. Every time we went forward, we looked like we were going to score. It's entertaining. Don't get me wrong. The first half, I mean, it was stressful, but it was still entertaining to watch. But then the second half, it kind of just. Yeah, both teams seem to just kind of settle down a little bit in the second half somehow. I mean, it was a bit unlike us. We normally finish games strongly. What did you make to the subs that we made? Obviously, Raf comes off, James comes off. I mean, you obviously put Roberts to the right wing, Somerville to the other side. What did you make to that?
I would like to see Somerville get a run out, because I do think you've got these kids in the 23s, and they must be chomping at the bit to get, to be part of this and to be part and get a game and actually have some minutes with the first team. And I thought Somerville, he came on, he did nothing wrong. He was safe. But I think as his confidence grows, I think he's that type of player that he'll improve and improve. Dan James, I think he's only just come on. He's still trying to find his feet and what have you. He wasn't fantastic, but again, you just hope it's going to come for him, because we know he is a good player. We know that. But Klitsch, it was good to see Klitsch back in midfield. I thought he did all right. Again, the big one for me at the minute is Ayling. I don't know, there's something not right with Ayling at the minute. He's just, he's passing.
It's just silly. It's the passing. It's like the stuff that he's technically
awful at the minute.
It's it. You don't expect that from Ayling. Sometimes he makes the odd rash decision. Like over the last 3 or 4 years, he's been fantastic, but he used to make the odd rash decision. But now it's like, he just doesn't look like a Premier League footballer at this moment in time. He just I've got to agree with Mike here as well. I think Dallas, to be honest, hasn't started the season well.
I for that corner of my eye, and I'm going to agree with Mike as well. I think Dallas, he's another one. He's just not. Have they put themselves? The thing is, when you look at, because of how they played last year in Dallas, obviously he was rightfully the player of the year last year. The one it would never been doubt what player of the year was, but he's put himself on such a high level now yeah, players that are only human. You're going to have a drop in form. You're going to, not play. You can't play at that level every week unless you're obviously one of the top level players, De Bruyne, Messi, Ronaldo. One of them. Yeah, you perform week in, week out. But I know that these players are not at that level. But I think Dallas he's put himself on this level last year that now he's not performing at that level. We're all sort of thinking, wow, well, he's not doing well at all, is he, at the minute? But it's just because of his performances last year, I think, that we're looking at it in that way. It is. I still think defensively, I'm worried. I mean, obviously with Llorente out, if Llorente is back, he's the best defender we've got. I think.
Yeah.
We know
without
that.
doubt.
Without a doubt. But he seems to be just made of glass, doesn't he? And that's the only problem we have with him at the minute.
And that's the thing with Koch as well. The other player who can play on the right, he's obviously out at the minute, and that's why Ayling's having to come in. And you got to look at it and say, it's a bit of a problem. Like, personally, for me, Jack, I'm looking at that Fulham game. I just saw a comment come in about the team for Fulham. Charlie Creswell has got to start that game for me. I just want to see him. I want to see him get the opportunity, probably against Mitrovic, quite a physical centre forward. Let's see if he can do it and see how he gets on, because Ayling at centre back at this moment in time, he's going to have to play there for a while now, unless Charlie Creswell can do a job. Because Llorente and Koch, we don't actually have a time scale on either player yet in terms of when they're going to be back. So, what's the other option in terms of other than Ayling? It's Charlie Creswell, isn't it?
It is. Well, Charlie Creswell. I mean, Ayling's not a natural centre back, is he? Charlie Creswell.
No, not at all.
So it's. Do you give these kids now? We know that they're good players. We know they're good players, and obviously it's a massive step up from 23s to Premier League, and against, like you say, likes of that St. Maximilian or whatever last night on Friday night. I just liked how as soon as he got that ball, the first thing he thought, "What, I'm running at you, and I'm going to go at you, and I'm going to go at you." And he's got the pace, and he's got the trickery, and he's a handful. But these players now, if they're in the 23s, they need to be brought in now, and they have to start combating against these top players, or else what's the point in having them there? We've got to start giving them a game, I think. I do. That's
it, because the thing is, there might be 19 or 20 now, but they'll soon be 21, 22. I'm not saying they're past it at 21, 22, but the development years, it's not a long period of time. You only really got 2 or 3 years to really develop into, certainly at this level. I'm looking at people like, I don't know, say Jamie Shackleton. It might be a little bit harsh on Jamie Shackleton, but you look at how wow he was when he first came through. Everyone was like, this kid, he can play right back, he can play centre mid, he can play 10. I still think Jamie Shackleton's a very good player. I hope he plays against Fulham. But he's not had those opportunities in the team to really develop. I don't think he's considerably a better player now than what he was 2 or 3 years ago, to be totally honest. I think it shows.
I think I'm going to tend to agree with you there. Jamie Shack, I mean, we love him and the endeavour and everything about him, but I think that it's just that little. He hasn't got that extra bit of quality. Do you get what I mean?
But he's not at the game time either. He's not mature either. It's
hard. But yeah, I think I would delight to see some of them get a run out the other night. We need to start bringing a few of these players in, because obviously we've not gone and bought no one. I do think that they're going to be hungry. I think they're going to be fired up to prove that they are worthy of a place in the starting 11, if not just even on the bench, to be there as an option. And I'm glad that he's got on. He looks fairly safe. He didn't do anything wrong. But I think as his confidence grows, he'll start showing, because we've seen him at 23s and he looks a diamond, doesn't he? He looks an absolute fantastic player. So yeah, just again, confidence-wise, I think that these players need a bit of a run out. Charlie Creswell, I've seen him play a few times. I think he's a fantastic young player. But on the other hand, the step up as well, isn't there? Yeah. There's that step up, and we know it's a different level completely when you're playing against these top players.
That's it. So some players just can't hack it. That's the thing. We've got to remember that. As much as some players will look good in the 23s, I mean, Poveda looked good in the 23s, but when you put him into the senior team, he couldn't really produce. And there's been loads of players down the years where you've looked at and thought, really promising talents, some of these players, but they just couldn't quite get into men's football, senior football in that kind of sense. But I think Creswell, his build is just for 18, 19, unreal, to be fair. I mean,
his father was a big unit as well, wasn't it? To be fair, so he's obviously got the genes. But yeah, I do think that maybe mean, it's the Carrot Cup. You know, we're not right bothered about it. I mean, it'd be nice to get a cup run and keep going, you know, because I think it's good for momentum winning games.
It's the only thing we've got on them, isn't it? It's a cup run. It's the only thing we've got. If we lose to Fulham, the head's just going to absolutely be gone before West Ham if we lose to Fulham.
I know, as I say, I'm not going on there. I'm a bit busy work. Are you going?
No, mate, I love Fulham away as well. I do absolutely love Fulham away.
It's my favourite way.
It is.
It is. If it had been a league game, I think I'd have probably gone. But yeah, Carrot Cup, I'm not.
It's just one of them, isn't it? Goes for extra time or something, and it's finishing at like 10. Getting home at like 5 in the morning. Oh. And then anyone who's going, we'll have a top time, because Fulham away, win, lose or draw, is superb. To be fair, it is superb. So obviously, look, West Ham's coming up as well. Nice and easy game back in the league. I mean, how are you feeling going into that? I'll be honest, I'm not massively.
Not at all.
I mean, the thing is, Jack, obviously Newcastle, we had moments where we played well, but you look at those chances that fell to Joel Linton in that first half, second half. If they fall to Antonio, they're going in the back of the net.
Yeah.
That's the problem we've got. And we're struggling. We're struggling at the back. You know, Aidlin's losing his men. Coops was better on Friday night, but still not being fully at it start of the season. I'm a bit worried, to be honest, going into that West Ham game.
I am, because West Ham seem to be carrying on as well from last year, don't they? You know, they've obviously qualified for Europe, and I think they're doing all right again this year. You know, I think they're a good side. They are a good side of West Ham. They were a good side against us in both games last year, but they're organised. Moyes has got them organised, and you know they won't give us many chances. So any chance that we get needs obviously taken, doesn't it? It's like saying Newcastle. The amount of chances we should have had 3 in that first half, and we should have done, and we didn't take them. But you can't be doing that in this league. You know, it's just, again, last year, we might have conceded 4, but we'd still gone and got 3. But this year, I don't know. It's just still not. Something just doesn't seem right.
It's even the front 3. You know, obviously, I think Raf is getting back to that kind of level now. I think obviously first half against Newcastle, I thought he was pretty unplayable, to be honest. Obviously, he comes off. He's still got a bit of a knock. But then obviously look at Bamford. Obviously 1 goal so far. Still playing okay, I think. Harrison, obviously, you know, hopefully be back in for that West Ham game. We just need that for me to really gel, and maybe Rodrigo to chip in with a couple of goals as well from the midfield.
I think his performance of an eye, Rodrigo, though, I think he done a well.
Yeah, he was good. He could have had, he could have had 3 or 4 assists on another night. You know, passing to Bamford slips, kind of with 10 minutes to go. Could have easily been a goal, that, to be honest, and it's fantastic off Rodrigo.
Yeah, he was. But I mean, you've got to keep, you know, you've just got to keep trying to be positive, haven't you? You know, that win's got to come at some time. Surely it's got to come soon, you know. And I think that's why everyone's sort of a bit downhearted, a bit flat. You know, we're 5 games in, we ain't got a win. Some of the performances have been a bit meh. But the first half against Newcastle were promising. It was. We can't say it was. It was a bit like the Leeds United of old. The first half. The second half were a bit. You know, if we play
like we did the first half, certainly going forward, we're going to have no problems this season for me. I think we'll bounce back pretty quickly. I mean, the thing is, look at the teams around us at this moment in time. Norwich, they've lost every single game. They lost to Watford at home yesterday.
Might as well put that final nail in Norwich's coffin already.
I mean, that's it. You know, that's one team. Yeah. Burnley, obviously, we saw them against us. That was apparently Burnley's best performance of the season. They still weren't great. We still could have won the game. Newcastle, again, Newcastle probably a little bit better than the other 2, but still, you know, that I tell you what, the thing that really annoyed me, Jack, was at 1-0, I think the ground had gone at that point. They're turning on the players, you know, there's a couple of boos, Bruce out, all this lot. I'm thinking we should have really capitalised at that moment. At 1-0, the crowd's gone. It was just when we gave them that little bit of encouragement, send Maximan, you know, running at the back 4, causing us a couple of problems. That's what annoyed me a little bit with Friday night. You know, the fact that we got that early goal. I just thought if we got the early goal against Newcastle, we'd go on to win quite comfortably, to be honest. And unfortunately, that's not the way it went.
It's not. But again, we didn't get beat, which is it's another point on the board. we've just got to keep believing. I mean, it's going to be hard next Saturday, West Ham. We know that. It's going to be.
The thing is, the only teams that have beaten us so far, Liverpool, Man United. I know obviously some of the draws have been a bit frustrating, but even that Everton draw was decent, to be fair. I know Everton got battered yesterday, but they're better than what they were last season, it looks like. So it's not too bad a result. But, mate, I'm going to let you go. I promise I'll let you go after 2 minutes.
Sorted out. Everyone have a rest of your weekend. Just enjoy it, and we'll speak soon.
Right, we will. After we beat West Ham. Mate. See you later.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
See you later, mate. So, from one legend, we are now going to go to another legend in the YouTube scene. It is another legend here. It's the one and only Michael 20.
How are you?
How are you, mate?
Yeah, very well.
Well, again, 5 games into the season.
No wins.
3 draws, 2 defeats, no wins. What are you feeling now, mate? Obviously, after Liverpool, you seem pretty upbeat after the Liverpool game. Well, not about the Liverpool result, but in terms of our prospects for the season. Obviously, this Newcastle game, it's just a very weird game. I think going forward, we played some of the best stuff we have played all season. And then defensively, we're making some of the worst mistakes we've made all season. I mean, what was your feeling on it all in all? Do you think it was a fair result? 1-1?
I reckon we just about it. I said I'd done like a live stream. And I said we needed to take these chances in the first half because Newcastle weren't really doing much in the first half. I didn't think they're just like counter attacking and just hoping for like Maximan to do his stuff. What's your opinion on Maximan? Because there's I'm leaning towards sort of like what Joe thinks. He's a bit of a Traore type player.
Oh, he's better. He's better than that. He's better than that. I mean, Traore's not scoring that goal that St. Maximan scored against us. No. To be fair, I do agree with Joe in terms of end products. He's one of those players that he's entertaining to watch. I mean, if I'm a neutral watching that game, you're probably really enjoying St. Maximan. But if you're a Leeds fan watching that game, you're thinking, "Oh my word!" Every single time he gets on the ball, Newcastle are causing havoc, in terms of going forward, and that was the worry. But I don't think St. Maximan plays that well every week. I will point that out. I think that was that's probably his best performance of the season. I've seen a lot of games where he's not being that bright, but I think he's a very good player. I think certainly Newcastle are lucky to have him, and he'd do a job in our team. There's no doubt about that. But he's one of those players that I think there's definitely potential there. I think he's definitely going to be, if he works under the right manager, makes the right transfer because he's going to leave Newcastle, I think, at some point. Definitely. He makes the right move. He's probably going to be a top player, but he could quite easily go the other way. But he's better than Traore for me. I'm going to say that much. He's better than. But what about us? Rafinha, I thought first half was back to his best.
Yeah, Rafinha was really good. He was linking up well with Rodrigo for his best game for a while. But I thought Click made quite a difference in that midfield. He played really well. He wasn't just in the centre, was he? He was linking up on the left-hand side. So I thought he played really well. Just a couple of tame little finishes where I thought he would just finish them.
Grass cutters and that lot just didn't really cause any problems. There was one though from Click, which it's missed by about that much in the first half. And I think Calvin had one as well. And you're thinking they're not big chances, but the ones where give it a couple of centimetres either side, it's a goal, isn't it? But that was the more encouraging thing, though, wasn't it, Mike? In terms of we were able to create the opportunities. The first half, it looked like a Bielsa team in that first half. I think the first 4 games, other than moments in the Everton game, it's not like a Bielsa team. It's looked the opposite, really. We've looked really unimaginative in the final third. Second half, though, I don't want to go on to the negatives too quickly, but I thought the second half was really flat, considering I thought the game was there to be won. I thought at 1-0, I thought that crowd had turned. I think the potential was still there for the crowd to turn again if we've got that second goal. I really do. And we just seem to... I don't know about the subs. The subs I wasn't quite sure of, especially Raf coming off, and obviously Roberts going to the right wing. I wasn't really sure about that. What do you make to that?
I nearly headbutted the wall when Roberts came off. I just couldn't understand.
Came on?
Yeah, came on. Yeah. I just couldn't understand. Is he just Bielsa trying in different positions everywhere across the pitch? Because he was on the right, then he was on the left.
That's true.
It's not his like position, is it?
But obviously, to go into a part like no, definitely not. I mean, I don't think he's played on the wing for us since Bielsa's first season. I know he played a couple of games for Harrison in that first season, but he's not played a lot of football there. I think maybe the start of his Leeds career, he was on the wing from time to time. But again, we're going back to like the Championship days here. Certainly not in the Premier League. But obviously, Somerville comes on. I know you're a big fan. Positive. Almost scored, actually. Lovely little effort from distance. Again, he looks okay. He looks okay for me. What do you make to his performance?
Yeah, he didn't have many minutes, did he? But yeah, he's done okay. He probably wasn't the best game to come into, to be fair, for him to come on. But yeah, he's done okay. I think he will have a played part in 3-6 months' time. But yeah, it was disappointing to have like Harrison out because he would have made a difference, I think.
You think we win that with Harrison? I mean, James was a bit quiet, wasn't he? Let's be honest, but he still needs a little bit of time. I mean, I think that James chance in the second half that sort of came on the volley that he took with his right foot. I'm just thinking that coming to Harrison on his left, he scored a similar goal like that last season at Newcastle. I think at that end actually to win it. I'm just thinking that kind of chance falls to Harrison on his left. We know how good Harrison is technically. He probably catches that clean. Who knows? It might have been a different story, but we'll never know. Let's talk about the
penalty, Oscar.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe me and Jack haven't mentioned that. Actually, I mean, I just give up on VAR. I give up on VAR and just common sense in football. I mean, how's that not even getting reviewed? Is what my question is. I can accept the referee making a mistake, but VAR. I thought that was the idea of it. How that isn't clear and obvious, I don't know, but. I mean, speak to me, Mike. I mean, it's clear and obvious, isn't it, that? Surely.
And the ref isn't that far away, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, it's poor for the ref to miss it, but then VAR to miss it. I mean...
It's just crazy.
It's laughable. But let's carry on being on the negatives for a second. Defensively, obviously, Ayling hasn't started the season too well. I actually thought, I'm going to disagree with Darren here, I actually thought Cooper, it was a bit of a dodgy start. So Maximan got past him a couple of times, but then I thought second half, I actually thought he was probably one of our best players in the second half, and key to us keeping the point. Yeah. I mean, but I will agree, Cooper needs a Llorente or Koch alongside him for me. Ayling, it's just not happening for him at centre back or even right back at this moment in time. What have you made to Ayling?
Ayling in half the player as he was last season. I don't know why. Something's obviously, I don't know if it's like mentally, it could be. But regarding Cooper, I think he was like marking. He was close to, Maxman. Not many people are gonna, keep up with Maxman, and Cooper's not the fastest, is he? But
yeah, he did. Considering though, he did all right. There was always going to be the odd moment where he got, St. Maximan got past him in that lot. But I thought second half, I thought he did a pretty decent job in that regard. I thought, if anything, St. Maximan was going from the other side and trying to target Ayling in that second half. I think he felt he'd get more joy out of Ayling than Cooper. But I think what we've got to say about Luke Ayling is we all love Luke Ayling. He's been one of the top 3 or 4 players of the Bielsa era of the last sort of 4 or 5 years. I think he's bought himself enough credit in the bank for us to keep him in the team. Although I wouldn't keep him in at centre-back, I keep him in at right-back in his best position where he can show that energy, get up and down the pitch like he has been doing. I think same with Dallas, really, as well. I mean, Dallas hasn't been much better than Ayling, really.
Been great, no. How long, though, Oscar, with that credit in the bank if he keeps putting in poor performances?
Well, yeah, no, I agree with that. You can never look back. I mean, no one's going to allow us to stay in the Premier League because we were good last season. It's not going to, it's not going to win us points this season. I agree with that. I don't know. I think another couple of games, obviously West Ham, Watford. I think it's Southampton after that. If it's still kind of getting into like a 3 or 4 game run and it's still not happening for Ayling, then maybe he does need dropping. The case with Dallas as well. I mean, I think for any of the players, I don't think any of them. I don't think any footballer in the world can have enough credit in the bank that if they continue to play poorly for 2 or 3 months, that they stay in the team. I think that's But we've got to remember it is only 4 or 5 games now for Raylan. I think I don't know. What would you? I'd keep him in the team for West Ham, to be honest. I would keep him in.
Hopefully that his injury isn't too bad, but yeah.
Absolutely.
He took a little knock, didn't he? Our knocks are just falling like trees.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone's getting injured at this moment in time. I mean, the thing is with Ayling is that who else is going to come in at centre back if Charlie Creswell doesn't do well? I'm assuming Charlie Creswell starts against Fulham. Are you going to make that assumption as well?
Yeah, I'd like to see Charlie Creswell in there. Yeah.
It'd be big. I mean, if Charlie Creswell does well in that game, it's unlikely Bielsa would then throw him in there for West Ham, but there's a shout for it. There is a shout for it, isn't there? But it's just like everything that could go wrong so far this season has gone wrong. We've got 3 centre backs out. Obviously, Harrison's not been available for the last game.
I thought Bamford was injured at one point. I thought no.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, where are you at with that Fulham game then? How strong are you going? Are you going full team, not bothering at all with the cup, or just trying to save the players' legs for the West Ham game?
He wants to go for the cup, but our injuries could be a problem, so we might have to put some under 23s in.
That's it. We might be forced into certain decisions, but guys, get your comments in. I mean, Cheese United is saying that's an interesting name. It's going to get worse. I mean, there's a case for it, but I don't. Can it get much worse? 3 points out of 5 games. I mean, can it get much worse than that? Probably not. And that might be a positive that it can't get any worse, but it could. But it's not going to. Please.
Well, what's your opinion on Firpo? How do you think he's given too much slack, considering that he's just got over COVID? He hasn't gotten the Bielsa's fitness system the way he likes it, and people giving him slack because he's making errors up already. What do you think?
I think I'd definitely start him against Fulham just to get that match sharpness. I think what you can see with Firpo is someone who's not played a lot of football for the last 2 or 3 years. I think that's really clear. I think even when the way he runs off the ball, there's not a lot of intensity to his game at this moment in time. I just think he needs match games. I think he just needs to play week in, week out at left back, see how it goes. What I will say about Firpo is that I didn't think he was that bad against Newcastle. I know that miss was horrendous, but I'm not going to mark down the left back for missing a chance, because at the end of the day, I'm not sure what he was doing there. That high up, I know he can get a goal. We've seen it at Betis. He can get a goal. He likes to get forward. That's been a little bit disappointing in that regards to his game, in terms of there's not been a lot of quality delivery from his side, where that was kind of what we were kind of buying into. But what I will say is that when we're playing out the back, I think he's technically a better player than Alioski. He just doesn't have Alioski's engine yet. And obviously for a Bielsa team, Alioski's going to always look better than what Firpo is, until Firpo gets that engine and back into the swing of things, really. But I actually thought he was okay against Newcastle. I've seen much worse left-back performances last season from Alioski, than what Firpo did. I don't think he was great. I still think so far it's been a slow start for him. But I can't think of that much wrong that he actually did against Newcastle. You might disagree there, Mike, but I don't think he's done. I think there's a high he's come from Barcelona. There's a high expectation on him. If you come from one of those kind of clubs, there's always going to be a bigger expectation. But I can't think of anything he's done drastically wrong in that game on Friday. But someone in the comments might disagree.
No, just what I've just seen on social media. I
don't get it. He's played 4 games for us, or I think he's only started 3 of them. I mean, are we really judging someone that quickly? I mean, Jack Harrison, it took a whole season to get going. Jack Harrison. I mean, Calvin, it took a couple of years to get him fully into the team. I know Firpo's slightly different. He's already been a top player, and now he's obviously looking to become a regular at a different team. But we've got to give him a chance, surely. I mean, there's talk of dropping him. I mean, this idea of dropping him, Mike, is that I wouldn't mind that if Dallas was playing well or another left back was playing well, but they're not. So what's the point of dropping off £15 million signing after 3 games? I just don't see it for me.
No.
But yeah, he's a talking point, Firpo. I do want to see Firpo and Harrison link up better on that left-hand side. I think sometimes they get in each other's way. I don't know if you'd agree with that. I think sometimes when they're building on that side, sometimes Firpo goes for a run where you think Harrison wants to make the same run. That's just the nature of having 2 left footers. You know, they're going to want to do the same kind of things. But yeah, I mean, this is the true point off Gale. I mean, we forget that Firpo's still only young. I think he's only 24, 25. So, you know, he's not like a senior player. He's still got to learn the game a little bit. I think give him a chance. But guys, in the comments, let us know what you think about Firpo so far. I'd probably give him a 6 out of 10 so far. I don't think he's done anything drastically good or drastically wrong so far. I just think it's been a little bit so-so for Firpo so far, but he definitely deserves more of a chance.
I thought Dallas maybe was a bit, I mean, not Dallas, Bamford was a bit quieter than he usually was against Newcastle.
I agree. I think obviously that Rodrigo pass into him. I mean, Rodrigo and Bamford probably aren't talking the next week because Bamford slips there. Because what a pass it is off Rodrigo, and you know, sort of reverse pass. That's what you want to see from him, and then Bamford slips over. But yeah, I agree. I thought it's probably his quietest game of the season so far.
But if that was on his left side,
hang on a second, Giancarlo. I just need to go straight to this. 24 is still young. 24 is still young. There's no doubt about that. I'm not having that. Sorry, Mike.
Yeah, if that was on his left side, he would have buried that, I think, because that was on his right foot, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it as well. That's it. I mean, it just didn't look natural when it came through to him. But yeah, I mean, another talking point going to a positive side of things. Meslier produces again. Big saves. I mean, that one of Joel Linton, I know it's straight at him, but it's still a reaction save. That one he's tipped onto the post from distance. I think he was super. I personally thought him and Raf were our best 2 players on the night. And probably Rodrigo in that as well. But probably the 3 big performers on the night. Talk to me about Meslier.
Meslier, great performance again. I'm just so worried come on the end of the season if we don't do, as good as last season, that they're going to go, one of them. And Meslier is going to go for top dollar in there as well.
I mean, this is enough just to go on to Bamford. This is very true, and I'm sure you'll agree with this as well, Mike. The service into him has been. I think Bamford's done well this season. I think it's 1 goal, 3 assists so far. Yeah, you probably want a few more goals, but again, with the service he's had, that's probably about right. It's not like he's missed a load of chances and not being clinical. I think it's just like, are you concerned by the service into Bamford?
Yeah. That I saw him that against Newcastle. He had he came to the halfway line to get the ball
against Newcastle. That's the thing,
because he wasn't getting any service. So,
I mean, we know how poor Newcastle are at the back as well.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. So you're thinking if he's not getting the chances in service, then what chance has he got against West Ham next week? But we know what Bamford's like. We know what Bamford's like. That, you know, sometimes when people start to doubt him, I don't think anyone in the comments is doubting him. But when he does start to get that little bit of criticism, he does normally score the next game. But it's England. Yeah. It's England, though, isn't it, mate? It's what Gareth Southgate and the England national team have done this. But yeah, it's a very interesting one. But yeah, I mean, is there any other points we can talk about, I guess, on the game? There's probably a lot more we can talk about.
I think Dan James will get better as he needs time as well.
James is one of them, isn't it? He could quite easily have won as a penalty in the first half, and then you probably look at his performance very differently if that does if that does happen. And to be honest, it's a different game, isn't it? If we get that penalty. But yeah, check this out, guys. Check this out. On Tuesday night, the Leeds Lasses will be announcing the members winner for our first members prize for a Leeds United ticket for the Leeds versus West Ham game. So keep an eye out, guys. Keep an eye out if you are a member. Chance to win the tickets for Leeds versus West Ham, mate. West Ham. That's up your way, isn't it, Mike?
It is. Yeah, definitely.
So well, let's talk a little bit about Fulham first, because it's important to remember that Fulham game is next. Obviously, Creswell, we've both said we think starts. Somerville, does he start for you?
No.
Really?
It depends on Raf if he's fit. I think you give James. I think we need to have James and Raf in there.
Do you think he?
Yeah.
I think he gives Raf a rest. You know.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I think certainly with him coming off with sort of half an hour to go against Newcastle, I think he's. To be honest, I don't think Raf's at full fitness yet. I'd be interested, but I'm surprised you said no to that. I thought you'd be all aboard the Somerville train.
Yeah, I just think he wants to do well in the cups, Bielsa. So
okay.
But Creswell will definitely start. Yeah.
I was thinking of some other players who could potentially start. Sam Greenwood, would he start for you?
I don't think he could replace Rodrigo because he does play in number 10 potentially. So he could, yeah. But I think I wouldn't put too many in there because it's Fulham is that little bit of step up from Crewe, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Saying that Fulham lost at the weekend at home, I think. So
Forshaw, does he start for you against Fulham?
Is he?
But apparently he's back this week.
He's back.
This coming week.
Is back.
Would he start for you?
Yeah, I'll give him a game if he's like proper fit enough to, give him game time.
Okay, let's have a little think of any other players could potentially start. Jamie Shackleton. Would Jamie Shackleton come in?
I would have preferred him instead of Ayling against Newcastle, to be honest.
Who'd have gone in at centre back though? That's the thing, though, isn't it? That's the problem with our depth. Is that I agree. Shackleton's been much better this season so far. I'm not sure if I would have started him over Ayling, but there was definitely a case for it. But the problem is there was no Llorente or Robin Cox to go alongside Liam Cooper or even Pascal.
No.
Does it worry you, the depth at all, the squad depth at this moment in time?
Yeah, it does. But it's the way Bielsa likes to play, so it's not nothing we can change. It's a bit like Robert's situation, isn't it? I could give you a story how much.
Well, what's your take on Roberts? I mean, at times you're being positive about Tyler. I mean, certainly towards the back end of last season when we thought he was playing well. But what have you made to him, Mike, in terms of this season? He's kind of had the odd cameo. He started that Crewe game. What have you made? I thought he started okay, but I think last couple of games it's gone back to the Tyler where it's a little bit overplaying things. And I think there was one moment in that Newcastle game. I think Chris referred to it during the game that a silly flick in the box where you're thinking we could have made a real chance out of that if he just took a touch, looked up. But he's got about 4 or 5 players around him in Newcastle's penalty area. And he's just gone for a little flick and it's just gone to no one. I think it's gone straight through to the keeper. And you're thinking, Tyler, look up. You got options around you. Click, Rodrigo, Bamford. We just need to lay it off. But it's gone back to that with Tyler a little bit in recent weeks.
Yeah. He just slows things down when everyone's like really quick, one-touch football like Leeds do. And then it gets to Roberts and it seems like he slows things down. And then that's when we lose the ball. I think he's had his like time within the team. I would like us to get Lewis O'Brien in January and maybe send Roberts out on loan. That would be what I'd like.
I mean, it'd be interesting if we go back in for Lewis O'Brien. Obviously, Huddersfield, they made a poor start to the season, but since O'Brien's come back into the team, they've actually really bounced back a little bit, Huddersfield. I think they're in the playoff areas at this moment in time. So it might not just be down to O'Brien, but it does show that he's got an influence in that team. I think O'Brien, I think he's an underrated player. There's a lot of criticism for Tyler in the comments today, and that's fair enough. Look, Tyler's not done enough in the last couple of games to really justify any kind of praise at this moment in time. Lewis Bates, an interesting one. Obviously, Lewis Bates played a couple of games for the 23s. Does he possibly start in place of Calvin, maybe, just to see if he can play the Calvin role against Fulham? Is there a case for that?
Could do. And have Calvin on the bench, just in case things go wrong. But Lewis Bates is doing well in the under-23s. He is.
He is.
He makes them tick in the under-23s, I think.
I think so. I do think Bates going to play minutes this season. I think there's a quality player in there. We spent 1.5 million on an 18, 19-year-old for a reason, because we think he's a good player. There was clearly something there that tells us that you can do it at this level. But this is true of Chris. We can't carry passengers in this league, and I think especially now that it's looking like we're in a bit of bother at this moment in time. At this moment in time, whether it improves or doesn't improve, we could potentially be in a relegation battle. We've got to face that reality. I'm not sure we will be, but at this moment in time where we are on the table, the start we've made, it could be a relegation battle. You can't afford passengers in those situations or players learning the game. They've got to be your best 11 players who are going to get you results at this moment in time. I know it's not very Bielsa way of thinking, but if we are in a bit of bother, and we do need a win, let's be honest, the longer it goes, it's one of those for me, Michael. It's like you've got a weight here, and every game you don't win, it adds another weight to it, another weight to it, another weight to it, another weight to it, and eventually mentally, you can't hold it much longer. And that's what it's like. It's one of those you're thinking, but when we do get the win, it's one of them. But I do feel like the longer it goes on without Leeds winning, the more and more nervy I think the crowd's going to get, fans going to get, and the criticism is going to intensify a little bit. So. Yeah, this is it with Tyler. I mean, if Tyler started that West Ham game, I wouldn't know what we're going to get from Tyler. Whether he's going to be the Tyler at times last season that produced some fantastic moments, or the Tyler that we saw against Newcastle where he just keeps giving the ball away.
Yeah, exactly. But I wouldn't be surprised, Leeds being Leeds, if we beat West Ham. Yeah,
that's it. That's the mad thing. I mean, West Ham have played a lot of football this last week or so. There might be a little bit of fatigue in there. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I'm not going to lie, mate. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we win the game. And then all of a sudden, if we did win that West Ham game, if we win the 2 games this week, Fulham and West Ham, it looks very different. It looks very different. Obviously, all of a sudden you're thinking, ooh, maybe a cup run. Ooh, we're suddenly moving up the table. It does change very quickly. And that's the nature of the league. Look, I mean, you see so many teams already this season. Villa looked poor a couple of weeks ago. I know they lost to Chelsea, but they played very well in that game. Then they battered Everton yesterday. It can change very quickly. When you can't, I don't think you can read too many conclusions after 5 games in the Premier League.
It's a bit like Arsenal and Arteta. They just won 2 on the spin.
But all of a sudden, they're only 3 points behind Tottenham, I think. So I still think Arsenal are poor, but they've won those 2 games, kept 2 clean sheets, and then all of a sudden you look at it and think, they're suddenly the mid-table. But yeah, it can change very quickly, and we've got 2 home games before the international break. We get ourselves 4 points on the board. It looks very different all of a sudden.
We've got to win before the international break.
Yeah, that's another thing as well, because as each day passes on that international break, and if we haven't won a game, it's just the weight's going to add and add and add, and that's the reality. That's not being negative. That's just the reality of what it's like to be a fickle football fan. We're all fickle, aren't we, football fans? Let's be honest. I mean, some of the stuff I've seen in the last couple of days, it's just laughable, to be honest, on Twitter. I mean, I've seen tweets against Junior Firpo, and you're thinking, and not just like constructive stuff, just. I don't get it. I don't get it, mate, at all. What are people gaining from that? He's played a couple of games for the club. Have your opinion, but to make it like, I don't know, just like facts that he's not good enough for Leeds United, it just seems a bit daft to me. It just seems really, really daft to me. And then there's other players as well. Cooper's got a little bit. Aylin's getting a little bit. And you're thinking, really? Really? I mean, I wish some of these fans that, are doing this to like some of the players in the squad had these standards when Warnock was in charge, when Hockaday was in charge, when we had players that didn't want to play for the club. I wish they were this critical then, because maybe we wouldn't have been in that much bother. This is a small percentage of the fan base, this, by the way, a small percentage of the fan base, but ones that are tagging players directly and all this lot. I wish they had these standards then when we were in the Championship, and maybe we wouldn't have been in. Maybe we would have, moved on these players a bit quicker, but I don't know. I'm just ranting now. It's just, it's a difficult time, isn't it? At this moment in time.
It's like people on Twitter as well saying about Bielsa out. I'm thinking,
no, it's ridiculous.
Count your lucky stars got such a great manager in Bielsa.
I just want to say, before we do move on, very, very important that I do address this. We have had some very, very sad news since going live. An absolute English footballing legend that is Jimmy Greaves has sadly passed away, aged 81. Absolute legend of a footballer. Incredible goal scorer, one of the greatest goal scorers in English football history. But yeah, awful news. And what a fantastic man as well on the TV. Big personality. Very sad to see. Jimmy Greaves, aged 81, unfortunately, has passed away. And from everyone at All Leeds TV, we can only say rest in peace, Jimmy. Absolute English legend. That's awful. That's awful news to see. And it does put it into perspective, doesn't it? It does put it into perspective that it's awful to see. But rest in peace, Jimmy. And as Sax says there, a proper striker. And he was a proper striker. My word, some of the goals he scored. And look at his record. If you do get a chance to Wikipedia or Google something today, Google Jimmy Greaves' goal scoring record. Absolutely unreal. And Saints and Greavesy, what a programme that was as well. What a programme that was. Awful. But Mike, I mean, any other thoughts on Leeds United at this moment in time?
Just, we need something as well by December, because December's it's going to be a nightmare, isn't it, with the fixtures we've got.
I didn't want to think about that. December, that's when we've got, is that when we've got Chelsea City, Liverpool, and someone else, like Leicester? Mike, you had to remind me of that, didn't you? You had to remind me of that. But does that though, maybe look at it and say, put a little bit more pressure on, thinking that, okay, October and November needs to be a good month. But
more important,
the thing is as well, I'm just going to point out one other thing, is last season, our record against these teams, we went unbeaten at that kind of run last season.
Yeah. I like your positivity, Oscar.
It's forced positivity, I'll say that much. But yeah, a lot of lovely tributes to Greaves here. And that's it. David there, saw him play many times versus Leeds. I'm sure he scored a lot of goals against us as well, didn't he? Because what a player he was. It's going to be very interesting. But Mike, I'm going to let you go, mate. Absolute legend. Thanks, as always. I know I wasn't born, Mark, but you do have Sky Sports Retro. You know, you do have Sky Retro. You do see certain things. I've seen Donald Trump on Saints and Greavesy with, not live, but obviously didn't see it live. But I've seen it on YouTube. I've seen Donald Trump draw Leeds against Man United. It's legendary moments like that. It's a great show. Just YouTube it. It's just brilliant banter. You need more football shows like that these days. But Mike, absolute legend. I'm going to let you go. Will you be joining us for Fulham when we progress through the cups?
Yeah, definitely. We're going through. But I'm going to let you go, mate. Have a quality rest of the weekend and a good next week when Leeds get 2 wins on the board. I'll see you later, mate. See you later, mate. Cheers. Bye. So now we are joined by a third legend, and he's back again. It's Chris Kelly.
All right, mate.
How are we, mate?
Yeah, I'm all right. You?
Yeah, not bad at all. Mate, do you feel any better?
I don't know, mate. I'm still genuinely confused about Friday. Whether it was
weird, isn't it?
Yeah, whether it was good, bad, indifferent, and I think it's just because it was a mixture of all things, mate. It was like we were on about in the chat when the game was on, like attacking wise in the first half, the energy seemed back for 25, 30 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Which was good to see. But I mean, defensively, Jesus Christ, at times.
It was laughing. It was genuinely like some of the stuff, the stupid mistakes we were making. It got to a point where not watching it live, but watching like the highlights of Match of the Day this morning, you're actually laughing at some of the stuff we're doing.
Honestly, it's just not good for the heart, is it?
No. But every game's been like this, though. You know, in terms of it's just being some good. I mean, it's like that Gattuso quote, isn't it? Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe. Yeah. It's like that, isn't it? Have you watched Peep Show?
I Long time ago, mate. Yeah.
There's a legendary moment on it when Mark off the Peep Show says, "I'm happy, but I'm angry at the same time," and that's Leeds. That's Leeds, isn't it? There's some good, some bad, but I mean, some of the stuff on Twitter. I mean, it just needs addressing. I mean, it's laughable, some of the stuff I've seen. I mean, so what some people are doing for likes on Twitter, just slagging off some of the players in this team. I don't get it. I don't get it, me, at all. Criticise by all means, but saying that people aren't good enough.
No, mate.
After 5 games into the season, people that are giving you 4 or 5 years of quality service, it just doesn't seem right to me at all.
No, and to be fair, mate, you've hit the nail on the head straight away. It's people just wanting likes. That's all it is. I've sorted that.
Yeah, I didn't see that. To be fair, that was good job.
It's people just hunting for likes, mate, and gratification from other muppets. That's all like Twitter is, and it drives. I'm so glad I'm not on there, mate, because when I used to be on there, I was losing my head with people daily. So it's nice not being on there.
You just do that on Facebook instead now, don't you?
Yeah, it's just a solitary platform now, mate.
Keeping up with 2 or 3. Having arguments on 2 or 3, it's just too much work, isn't it?
Too much work, mate. It takes time, doesn't it? It's a full-time job. Yeah, I'm just back from my last 24-hour ban on Facebook for calling someone a helmet. I mean, grow up. Reporting me for calling them a helmet. Jesus. But yeah. No, I don't know. Honestly, mate, I think...
When you put that in the chat, when you just put that in the chat, I was looking up thinking... That's so Chris, That's so Chris.
He was being a helmet. I was only stating facts. I think Michael's right, mate. It wouldn't surprise me, and I'm not predicting it because I am bored of predicting results now and being nowhere near. But it wouldn't surprise me if we went out and beat West Ham. It just wouldn't. Something's going to click. It is going to click. This is a slightly poor run of form. It's not that 11, 12, 15 players have all become bad players overnight. It's a bit of a bad run of form, and it will come good. It's going to be a tougher season than last season. Yeah, I think most of us would potentially agree with that. I think I think there's worse teams than us, which is a horrible way of looking at the league. I hate being like that. Do you know what I mean?
But there is Norwich for starters. Norwich are pretty clearly going
I've never known a team to be down in September before, but they're looking drastically like it, aren't they?
I think they lost 15 Premier League games in a row now from the season before when they went down. 15 games lost in a row. So there you go. I mean, they'll probably break that run against us, which is pretty much guaranteed. I'm not sure when we play Norwich, but we will be the team that breaks the run. But hopefully we'll have enough points on the board already. But we will. We've accepted that. Whether it's a draw or a win for Norwich, we will be the team that breaks the run.
That's got QPR written all over it, hasn't it? I think they've been like 7 games without a win or something and went and beat us.
Wigan as well. And won an away game in like 3 years. Yeah. Beat us with 10. Twice as well. But yeah, it's just what Leeds United are, isn't it? We do have a tendency to really be frustrated. Fulham next. How strong do you think we go?
Right, I think we go down the middle. I think we're not going to play a full strength team. I don't think we'll see the front 3. Obviously, I think Harrison will still be out, obviously, with it being a positive COVID test. Raf's carrying a knock, and I think, according to the commentary the other night, he was carrying the knock pre-game. He was a doubt to start. So there's no way we'll see Rafa, I don't think. And I don't think we'll see Bamford either, unless we need him in the last 10 minutes, like against Crewe. I'd like to see a front 3 of James, because I think he needs more game time in the Bielsa style. Somerville on the right, and I'd like to see Sam Greenwood given a go up top.
Could you consider Rodrigo up top?
Or maybe Rodrigo, mate. If his stats fitness wise are looking good and he doesn't need a rest, then give him the 9 shirt or the 9 position for a game, and hopefully he can bag a couple, because he's had a couple of chances this season and he's just not bagged it. And the one thing I think we do expect Rodrigo to do is put the ball in the back of the net. Yeah. So no, that's a fair shout, mate. Maybe play Greenwood in behind him at 10 then.
Yeah,
that's
no,
quite an
absolutely.
exciting front four for a cup game, to be fair.
Go for it. I mean, look, Fulham in the Championship. I don't think Fulham will go particularly strong. I think Fulham, we know from being in the Championship that the last thing you want to play is the League Cup. You really, really don't care about. If you're trying to get out of the Championship, the League Cup is not your friend. It's not your friend, and they're not going to go strong against us. So there probably is a case for playing Greenwood's drama. Creswell, I think, starts. I definitely think
100%.
Creswell starts. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't. I think Bate does as well. I was just saying to Mike then, I think Calvin might get a bit of a rest against
we've got to I agree, mate. We've got to protect Calvin a little bit. We can't just expect him to be full steam ahead all season and then going away internationally and playing every minute for England and all the rest of it. He's going to he will burn out. And Lewis Bate is there's some player in there for me. Like you said earlier, we don't spend £1.5 million on an 18-year-old kid if he's not and he's not been on the Chelsea books and so well revered by Chelsea fans as well. There was a lot of disgust from Chelsea fans when he was sold. So yeah, give him a game. For me, give him a game. It's Fulham. I'm really on the fence, mate. You know me. I've been like balls to a cup run this year, but we need to find that momentum and that win and something to take with us into the next game. So I go down the middle. I'd like some first teamers in there, but I'd also like to see some of the 23s given a bit of an opportunity and just told to go out and play the football and see what happens.
I agree. I go down the middle as well. I think there's certain players who maybe aren't quite on it yet. You know, obviously James has only just turned up. He's got to play for me. I think he will play. I think you just got to get him match ready because the chances are James won't play West Ham if Harrison's back. So yeah, I think he needs that other start, that other chance to maybe show what he can do. For sure. Yeah, Firpo. I think let's try and get Firpo into the rhythm of things because I don't know about you, mate. I think Firpo, he's been probably the main target on Twitter, but I just see a player who's been the backup left back for Barcelona for the last 2 years and what you expect. And kind of in terms of, I thought he'd start a little bit quicker than this. I think certainly going forward, I think some of his delivery's been a little bit disappointing considering how good it can be. Obviously, he should score against Newcastle, but he just needs a bit more sharpness, just a couple more games, I think.
You know what, mate? If he was playing for most other teams in the Premier League, and we were watching him as interested bystanders, like our fans, like you do with sort of bigger players that come across the Premier League, the first thing you'd say is he needs time to adapt to the Premier League and the pace of it. But because he's ours and he's got a bit of a price tag on him, fans are writing him off after 3 games. And and even worse, mate, people writing Dan James off saying, "Oh, have you got the receipt for him?" and all the rest of it. Like, behave. I mean, come on. Is this what we're becoming? I saw a tweet.
I know we were joking about it in the group chat. I saw a tweet saying, Costa back. He's not even played the game for Valencia yet.
My word. I mean, if people are really wanting Costa back over Dan James, then there's no hope. There's no hope for you. Unbelievable. The lad's played recently in the last couple of years, Champions League, Europa League. You know, he's won a couple of things, I think, with smaller things. They're not the force they once were, but that might be changing this season. But he's been playing at the highest level. And we've got to remember as well, I think he was always under pressure at Man United because he had to perform if he started. Otherwise, he was getting hooked off at 60 minutes. And that's a lot of pressure for someone who is still a kid. So give him a bit of time to adapt to the Bielsa way. And we've got absolute fire there. We've got absolute fire. I've no doubt about it. The kid is like, and we saw bits of it in the two, when he came on against Liverpool in a really difficult situation. He didn't set the world alight, but we had 10 men. So it was bodies behind the ball and break if we can. And then a little bit of trickery the other night against Newcastle, should have seen a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've spoken to that about with Mike, that I give up on VAR. There's 2 decisions in the last week that have made me think now that no point. There's just no point. Struick, James.
No, there's no point in VAR unless you're one of the top 6 teams.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, there'll be top 6. There might be the odds. What was it? 140 in the chat in a minute. I reckon there'll be 1 or 2 top 6 fans in this chat now. They'll be thinking, typical, moaning. Look at the decisions. Look at the evidence. Man City yesterday. Look at the evidence of this.
Yeah, mate. It's absolutely disgusting, mate. I'm more than last couple of performances or anything, I'm absolutely disgusted with the officiating, both on the pitch and at Stockley Park or wherever the referees have the cigar club. Do you know what I mean? And they all sit in a big circle and talk absolute nonsense. Clearly, it's just disgusting, mate. And I said this, I think in my Newcastle pre-match. It's about time that officials had to come out and answer for decisions made.
But that used to be it, back in the day. I remember being young and watching Sky, and the referee, that was quite a common thing. The referee explain. If there was a contentious, it wasn't like every game they did the post-match, but if there was a contentious decision, they would be asked to explain it. And I 100% think that should be the case. Because if a manager gets a decision wrong, if he makes a bad sub or they're on a poor run of form, they've got to answer questions. If a player gets something wrong or they've got to answer questions. Yeah. Why should referees be protected?
No, I agree. Just to clarify, because Mike's a good lad in the chat, I think refereeing has been better generally this season. I think this new lighter touch is better, but
it's more physical, isn't it? And I quite like that. I quite like that the lesser teams can get more physical now. I quite like that.
Yeah, but when they're missing critical decision, do you know what? I can almost understand the Struick decision on the pitch. If he'd have given a red card immediately, I can understand it because it's a reaction, although you don't want people to react like that. However, Craig Pawson has then since lied and said it was always going to be a red card. Well, you never blew for a foul, mate.
Well, it's clear. How is the FA not working this out, though, of Craig Pawson? How is he referee? I don't know what game it was he refereed yesterday. He was refereeing a game yesterday.
He had the Everton Villa game yesterday.
But how? He's lied about it as well. He's lied. He said he was always... There's not one fan in that ground that thought the red card was going to come out until Struick's walking down. I didn't know what had happened. I don't know about you. I didn't know. I didn't even see the red card come out. I'm thinking, is Struick upset? Is he that?
Walked down the tunnel, and I
thought he was that distressed with what he'd seen with Elliott that he just he'd been subbed off or something, but he'd been sent off. But the referee didn't even blow. The game was going on until Jurgen Klopp runs on the pitch, and he's got the cheek to say he would have sent him off anyway. Yeah. Nonsense,
mate. It is.
But this has been allowed to happen. Yeah. This has been allowed to happen. This is the thing.
My blood's still boiling from it, mate, and it's over a week ago, that decision. Well,
Newcastle game, we missed Pascal, didn't we? Let's be honest. Yeah. Pascal...
I said in our group chat, mate, didn't I, that, and I think you agreed, that if Llorente and Pascal had been our back two for the Saint-Maximin goal, that goal is never scored.
No. We win the game easily. We were able to push up the pitch and just... We're able to suffocate Newcastle then. Yeah. Against Cooper and not Ayling, we're a little bit more wary. I don't think Cooper's a defensive, someone who just wants to back off all the time. But I just think alongside Ayling, he was thinking, against Saint-Maximin, I've got to just not allow anything behind me here. Everything needs to be in front of me here. I want Saint-Maximin in front of me at all times here. But I think if you got Pascal alongside him, both could just...
It's a long time, mate, since I've seen us that deep.
Yeah,
defensively, unless it was needed, like City when we went down to 10 men. Do you know what I mean? And we got a win there. But 11v11, it's a long time since I've seen us that deep and such a massive gap between defence and midfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Could have driven a tank through it at times.
But it's crazy. You don't associate this with us at all. And it's mad. I mean, you look at the Saint-Maximin goal. I paused it after the ball went in on Match for a Day, and there's 5 players almost on the goal line.
Yeah,
5 Leeds players almost on the goal line. You're thinking, why? This isn't Leeds.
Stuff like that, when we get like that, that's not helping Meslier as well.
Because it's not.
He's just got a river of players in front of him. And Saint-Maximin caught the ball at just the right time because Meslier was just adjusting his feet.
Yeah.
But, it's a good enough finish. But, with Pascal and Llorente in there, I don't think that goal scored. I think, first of all, Dallas, I don't know what he's doing with his attempt at an Ayling flop. He just falls over. And then Ayling gets nowhere near enough to think. I think it's Joe Willock on their left-hand side. He just lets him roam into the area. And you're like, just be another yard or two near him and make him commit down the line. And then Saint-Maximin's just making people throw them bodies everywhere, isn't he?
It's like me trying to defend on FIFA, like for the goal. I mean, it's just everywhere. It's just reckless. It's just like, just dive in. But it's not Leeds. I think Llorente measured people like Llorente, Pascal in that back line. I think it makes a massive difference. I don't think we can doubt that. But the problem is, against West Ham, neither will be available. We've got people like Ben Rama, Fornells, who similar types of players, maybe not as explosive, but again, same kind of problem. We've got to adapt, for me, in that kind of sense. We've got to adapt a little bit, I think, against those types of players.
I mean, it'll depend how he plays against Fulham, and I agree with you, mate. I don't think Bielsa will start Charlie Creswell against West Ham. But
no matter how he plays, Fulham.
No matter how he plays. But I want to see a big, strong defender in there and someone who's going to get a grip of Michail Antonio or someone, you know, saying, you know what, you're not bullying me all game, mate, which is a big ask for a young kid. But I think Charlie Creswell, I think he's one of those players, much like his dad used to be, who's like, no, I like that kind of challenge.
Yeah,
I like,
he invites it,
I like that aggressive nature. And I think he won't, because like you say, mate, Bielsa won't start him against West Ham. I would be extremely shocked unless the rest of the back four come down with COVID in the next few days and we've just got Charlie on his own at the back. It'd be Calvin and Charlie at centre-back like that. Oh, God. But
I can't see it. I can't see it unless there's another injury. That's the only way that happens as well. I mean, Forshaw, could he be available? Would he start Fulham if he's available?
Well, I mean, yeah,
that's a very big if. That's like the biggest if probably going of the week, to be fair.
The thing is, mate, before Forshaw got injured, 19 years ago or whatever it was now, he was
I wasn't born.
Our best player.
I wasn't born the last time Forshaw was fit.
You were sat watching St. and Greavesy, mate.
I
know. I think he was our best player before he got injured. He's a cracking player when he's fit. I really rate Adam Forshaw, but it's a bit like Llorente, and he's just made of digestive biscuits. Just everything seems to break him. And
digestive biscuits that have been dipped in milk for 4 hours is what Forshaw's made of.
Rad Razani's reply to that tweet is just coming back to bite him on the backside now. And he went asked about a centre midfielder and he said Forshaw, like, oh mate, oh no.
I think even Adam Forshaw was probably looking at it thinking, oh no. But
due to testing positive for COVID, wasn't he? I think Daniel asked.
Yeah, that's the supposedly. Yeah, hopefully it was that, because in the sense that he'd be back next week if he fully recovers.
I think he said on his Instagram, mate, he'd tested positive, but he felt fine. He wasn't feeling any effects. So fingers crossed he'll knock a couple of negative tests out soon enough and be back, because we missed him. And he's got a good record against Newcastle.
Yeah. Well, I was saying to Mike that James chance that James kind of scuffed a little bit. He went with his right when he was probably falling on his left. I think Harrison scored a very similar goal like that at St. James's last season. I just think he probably catches that. He might not score. I mean, it's still a difficult finish, but you think he might work the keeper, might take a little rebound. It's the margins, isn't it? But the thing is, what I'd also say is that I don't think this season, in terms of playing our strongest 11, where we're going to have Llorente, Struijk at the back at the same time, Calvin, Click, Rodrigo, whoever you think is the best midfielders together at the same time. I just don't think we're going to get that a lot this season. We didn't last season, in terms of, I think we only got about an hour in the whole season where we had all our new signings on the pitch at once. So we're always going to have injuries. So we've got to adjust to that. We've got to accept that we're going to need the depth. We haven't got a lot of depth, because if you look at the bench, it was the bench. If you're looking at that bench, that was against Newcastle, and you had to guess what the game was, you're guessing it's an under-23s game against Birmingham. You're not guessing it's St. James's Park away on a Friday night, are you?
No, definitely not, mate. I mean, I think Tyler was the most senior player, wasn't he? At age
he was a granddad compared to everyone else.
Yeah. No, it is worrying, our lack of depth, and we just have no luck with injuries. No luck at all, and we never have had.
And this is the thing where, but I've seen a lot of tweets saying that when we have that full team out, we're going to be unplayable. We've got one of the strongest 11s out of all the teams outside the top 6. But we're not going to, because it's Leeds United. We're always going to have injuries at some point.
The problem is as well is you can't just go, all of a sudden our first 11's fit, so get them all in, because they haven't played together, because half of them have been on the treatment table for months. So you're not just going to throw them in, they're all going to click and we're going to start ripping teams apart.
No, exactly.
It's sad to say. I'd love to see our full strength 11 have a run of 6, 7, 8, 10 games together, because then I do think we start ripping teams apart outside the top 6. But you're right, mate. We're not going to see it.
That's the thing. It's sad. It is really, really sad, but we're not going to see it. And this is our man, Russ Verdon, absolute legend of a man. Average age 19 off the bench. That's got to be a record. It's got to be close to a record. So you've got Tyler Roberts, who's 22, Shackleton, 21, Clarkson, 20. Who, actually, Clarkson's a good point, to be fair. There's a good chance he might play Fulham.
Yeah,
there's a chance,
I'd like
maybe.
To see that. I'd like to see that.
See what he's made of. If he's better than Casilla, which he surely will be, because if you're not, then you might as well just give up on football.
My nan's better than Casilla.
McCarran, 20, Creswell, 19, Crescencio, 19, Greenwood, 19, Stuart McKinstry, 18, Kennard, 18. So it's a very, very young bench.
What's it going to be against Fulham? Average age of about 12.
I don't even know what Harrison Stack sort of. It's good. That's probably the best. That's probably the best one of the day. That. But that's another point. Is Noah Kenner. Obviously, he's played DM a couple of times. He's big and strong. You know, similar build to Calvin. I don't see it though. To be honest, I think it's more likely to be Bates than Kenner. But then again, Kenner
too far away at the minute. Kenner. I mean, again, I'd love to see it. I don't think it'll happen, but I'd love to see it, because I just want to see what some of these kids who were going okay in having been promoted last season in the 23 leagues, and they're going okay this year. I think I'd like to see a few of them just given an opportunity. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And that's when then the fans have got to be responsible as well, and not take to Twitter in the droves going, "No, I told you it's fucking shit." Like, the kids, and we've got to let them adapt and bleed in. It's a different world, as we've seen at times when the odd player, Sam Greenwood, came in earlier in this season for a few minutes, and the poor lad hardly got a touch of the ball. He looked a little bit lost, to be fair, and he's a cracking footballer. So we've got to give him time, but hopefully he does start to bleed a few in, because, like I think you said earlier, mate, when you were talking with Jack, what happens when they get to 22, 23 years old and they're still not seeing any first team action? I'm then, as a footballer, going, I need to be out of here and go finding some first team football.
No, exactly that. It can happen, and it can quite easily happen. You know, it's obviously we're looking at the here and now in the league, but it's not going to stay 2019, 2018 forever. No. So they've got to get a bit of football at least, certainly in the cups. But mate, I think we'll leave it there anyway. We've had a good effort. We've had a good little, not rant, but just debate about the game. Try to keep it as positive as possible. Maybe a little bit negative from time to time, but it's been all good.
It'll come good, mate. It'll come good.
It will.
We're in a bit of a dip. We've played some pretty decent teams early doors. Let's not count Newcastle in that, because they were pretty dreadful as well. But we've played some decent teams early doors. It'll come good. I'm not getting carried away yet. Ask me at 10 games in and where we sit in the league, then I might be getting carried away.
Ed's gone at that point. Ed's gone. Honestly, if we lose the Fulham game, though, Ed's going. Ed's gone. We won't know. We won't lose that game. So, guys, we'll leave it there anyway. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't done already. Hit that like button, and we'll see you later. See you later, guys.